Chosen one, notice something. There is a weight you have been carrying so long it no longer feels unusual. A heaviness behind your eyes, a tightness in your chest that comes and goes but never fully leaves. A quiet, persistent sense that the truest version of you is waiting in a room just down the hall, and you keep walking past the door. That is not burnout. That is not anxiety. That is what sleeping looks like from the inside. And here is what I need to redefine for you before we go any further, because most people misunderstand this completely. Sleeping is not unconsciousness. Sleeping is awareness without movement. It is knowing something is calling you, deeply, personally, with everything in you, and still choosing the familiar over the terrifying, glorious risk of becoming. You have been awake enough to feel everything. You have just been sleeping too long to move. God has been sending a message, a specific, irreversible, time-sensitive message meant for who you are, where you are, in this exact season. And here is what he is saying now, not with anger, never with anger, but with the urgency of a father who sees the harvest moving and his child still preparing to plant. You are the last one to receive the news. The season changed, the window opened. You, as you are, not a more prepared version, not a version with fewer fears. You are the one who is being called to rise. And the window for this particular waking does not stay open forever. Stay with me. What you are about to understand will change how you see everything. Before we go deeper, I want to tell you something. If you stay with me through this entire message, 3 things are going to shift for you. First, you are going to understand exactly why you have been stuck. And it is not because of weakness, it is because of something that was done to your brain before you even had a say in it. Second, you are going to see the specific signs that tell you your season is already shifting right now, even if everything around you looks the same. And third, I am going to share something that a neuroscientist spent 34 years researching. A 7-minute discovery that is already helping over 18,000 people reactivate what was taken from them. This is not a message you want to leave halfway. Stay with me until the end. Now, let me ask you something honest. When you heard the title of this message, when those words found you, did a part of you think, that is not really about me? Did something in you say, I am not sleeping, I pray, I feel things, I show up? That is the first misunderstanding I want to address. Because sleeping does not mean you feel nothing. Sleeping does not mean you have given up or stopped caring. Sleeping, in the way God is talking about right now, looks like this. You feel the pull towards something greater. You sense the calling. You know, deeply, in the part of you that cannot lie to itself, that you were made for more than this. And then the day comes in, the fear speaks, and you decide to wait a little longer. That is sleeping with your eyes wide open. And here is what makes it so invisible. The gap it creates does not announce itself. It does not show up all at once. It grows slowly, over months and years, in the widening space between the person you are and the person you were designed to become. And one day, you look back and realize the window was open the whole time, and you kept planning to walk through it. I am not saying this to shame you. I am saying this because I want you to see yourself clearly, maybe for the first time. There are specific shifts already happening inside you, shifts you have probably felt but never named. A restlessness that is different from anxiety, a sense that something in you is trying to surface. A recurring thought, quiet but persistent, that the life you are living is not yet the life you are meant to live. A strange kind of grief for a version of yourself you have not yet become. And moments, brief and unexpected, where everything goes still and you feel, just for a second, exactly who you were created to be. Those are not random. Those are signals, and they have been coming more frequently because the season is already moving. Now here is what I need to explain. Because the reason you have been sleeping is not what you think. It is not laziness. It is not lack of faith. It is not even fear, at least not in the way you imagine fear. The real reason goes deeper than any of that, and it starts before you were old enough to know it was happening. When you were a child, before the world had a chance to tell you who to be, your brain was doing something extraordinary. Scientists have been measuring it for decades, and what they found is remarkable. Every child comes into this world with a specific frequency running through their brain, a pattern of electrical activity that lights up during moments of creativity, deep knowing, sudden understanding, and what some people call flow. Neuroscientists call it the gamma wave. And in children, it runs freely, strongly, almost constantly. That is why children learn so fast. That is why they dream without limits. That is why a 5-year-old can ask a question that stops a room cold. Their brain is operating on the frequency it was designed to run on. But something happens. Around age 7, it starts to decline. Slowly at first, then faster. Not because of anything the child does wrong. Because of how the world is structured, the education systems, the pressure to conform, the environments that reward compliance over creativity, the pace of modern life that never gives the brain space to settle into its natural rhythm. Scientists call it the decline effect. And here is what that means for you right now. The dormant restlessness you feel, the sense that something in you is waiting to be activated, the calling you can feel but cannot quite reach. It is not a spiritual problem alone. Your brain, literally, has been running below the frequency it was built to operate on. The God-given ability has been dimmed, not destroyed, dimmed, and dimmed things can be lit again. But here is what I want you to sit with first, because this matters before we go any further. Underneath the sleeping, there is a specific fear. Not the fear of failure, something quieter and more fundamental than that. It is the fear of who you become when you are no longer the person who is still becoming. You have built an identity around the waiting, around being someone in the process of getting ready. And stepping into the calling does not just mean moving forward. It means releasing the version of you that found safety in not being there yet. Right now, I want you to do something, not out loud, not with your body, just in your mind. Picture that version of you, the one who has been standing at the threshold for a long time, not because they do not want to cross it, but because the threshold itself became home. See them clearly. And then, just for a moment, imagine yourself taking one slow step forward and leaving that version standing behind, not abandoned, released, with gratitude for what it protected you from, and with the quiet decision that you no longer need that protection. That is not weakness. That is exactly what God is asking you to do right now. Because the message was never waiting for a more prepared version of you. It was always waiting for the version that chooses to stop sleeping. And what I am about to show you goes deeper still. What if I told you that the sleeping is not just spiritual? What if the same divine design that placed a calling inside you also placed a specific frequency inside your brain, and the same systems that dimmed one also dimmed the other? This is what the research shows. Studies from MIT, Harvard, Princeton, and Columbia have all confirmed the same thing. When researchers placed EEG monitors on people who were in states of deep creativity, spiritual clarity, and sudden insight, the brainwave pattern was identical every time. Gamma frequency, the same frequency that runs freely in every child before the world steps in. And here is the part that changes everything. When gamma is running the way it was designed to run, something shifts in your life that cannot be explained purely by effort. Decisions become clearer. The right people appear at the right moment. Doors open that you did not knock on. There is a word for these moments, synchronicities. And they are not accidents. They are what happens when your brain is operating at the frequency God installed in it at birth. Dr. Robert Lake is a neuroscientist who has spent 34 years studying this exact question: what causes the decline effect, and can it be reversed? After decades of research, he developed something called brain entrainment technology, a way of using specific sound frequencies embedded in an audio track to gently guide the brain back to its natural gamma state. Not meditation, not years of practice, not a $7,000 biofeedback machine in your living room, or $300 per hour sessions with a specialist, just 7 minutes a day, through a pair of headphones, with your eyes closed. He called it the Genius Song. And here is why this matters in the context of what we are talking about today. At the same time that God is calling you to wake up spiritually, the science has confirmed that your brain has literally been running below the frequency it was made for. And the beautiful thing about how God works is that He rarely separates the spiritual from the physical. The same Creator who placed the calling inside you also designed the instrument that carries it. The Genius Song does not promise you a specific outcome. I want to be honest about that. It is a tool, not a miracle, not a guarantee. But what it does, for the over 18,000 people who have already used it, is give the brain a daily 7-minute window to return to its God-given frequency. And when the brain returns to that frequency, something becomes possible that was not possible before. Now, the price for this audio track is originally $49. That is not much. Not when you consider that biofeedback therapy runs $300 or more per session, and the home equipment for the same result costs over $7,000. But because Dr. Lake wanted this technology to reach the people who genuinely need it, not just those with the resources for it. The price for anyone watching this message is $39. That is the only price you will find it at, through the only link that carries the genuine product with the brain entrainment technology actually embedded in it. When you get it, you also receive 4 free bonuses. The Genius Child audio track, designed to support children's natural gamma development. The classic book that the film The Secret drew its inspiration from, the original and more grounded version, valued at $20 on Amazon, included at no charge. A guided visualization covering the 4 areas of your life: relationships, finances, health, and purpose, and an infographic of the 5 most important daily habits for building the life you were created for. Everything is delivered to your email immediately. No shipping, no waiting, and if you go through it and feel no difference at all, you receive a full refund. No questions, no explanation needed. The risk is entirely Dr. Lake's, not yours. One important thing before you look for this: there are websites that use the name but do not carry the technology. They are regular audio files with no brain entrainment embedded, no effect, no benefit. The only link with the genuine product, the full bonuses, and the money-back guarantee is the one I have left in the description and in the pinned comment of this message. Please do not search for it anywhere else. If you feel called to explore it, it is there for you. Now, let me tell you what is waiting on the other side of all of this, because the sleeping is ending. And what comes next is not a return to normal. It is the beginning of the season you have been in preparation for. Here are the signs that this season is already shifting. The relationships in your life are beginning to reorganize, quietly, sometimes uncomfortably, but with a kind of divine logic that only makes sense in hindsight. The ideas and impressions that used to come once in a while are coming more frequently now. The things that once felt impossible to walk away from are beginning to feel like they no longer fit. And there is a quality of clarity in your best moments that feels different from anything you have experienced before. Sharper, more settled, more like standing on solid ground. These are not coincidences. This is the seasonal shift beginning. And it does not wait for perfect conditions. It comes when the seed is ready. Stay with me, because what I want to show you next is the deepest layer of all of this, the truth that makes everything we have talked about finally make sense. There is something I need to tell you about what is on the other side of the threshold. Most people who receive a message like this spend all their energy asking one question: when? When will things shift? When will the calling finally become clear? When will what was promised begin to look like what was promised? But that is the wrong question. The right question is not when. The right question is who. Because what is waiting on the other side of your waking is not just a better set of circumstances, it is a version of you that can only exist after the sleeping ends. And that version has specific qualities you have always had, but that the sleeping kept buried under layers of noise and fear and the accumulated weight of waiting. You are a light bearer, not in a poetic, abstract sense, in a deeply specific, functional sense. You carry something into every room you walk into, a quality of presence that shifts the atmosphere around you in ways you may not even notice but others feel immediately. The people in your life have leaned on you without fully understanding why. You have spoken words at exactly the right moment, not because you planned them, but because something in you simply knew. That is not coincidence, that is assignment. You are a seer. You perceive things before they happen. You sense shifts before they are visible. You have probably dismissed this about yourself, told yourself you were overthinking or reading too much into things. But the perception was real. The sensing was accurate more often than you admitted to anyone. That gift was not designed just to guide your own path. It was designed to guide the paths of others who are walking close to you. You are a voice. There is something you carry that, when it comes through you, through your words, your presence, your story, breaks something loose in other people. Not because you are extraordinary in the way the world defines extraordinary, but because you are specific. You are carrying a frequency that only you can carry. And the people who need to hear it will not hear it from anyone else. You are a spiritual warrior. You have already proven this. The very fact that you are still here, still searching, still reaching, still showing up after seasons of silence and delay and disappointment is evidence of a resilience that cannot be manufactured. You did not collapse. You bent, maybe, but you did not break. And that is not nothing. That is everything. You are a pioneer. What you are being called into has not been done before. Not in the specific combination of your story, your voice, your particular assignment. There is no map for it. There is only the willingness to go first, to trust what you sense before it becomes what you can see. These are not roles you are trying to earn. They are descriptions of what you already are, operating underneath the sleeping. Now I want to show you the pattern, because this is not new, this is ancient. Think about Joseph, not the beginning of his story, not the part where he is favored and given visions of what he will become. Think about what came after that. The pit, the years in a foreign country, working for someone else, in circumstances that were not his choice. The prison, the long silence where nothing he had been shown seemed to be moving in any visible direction, where the gap between the promise and the reality was so wide it must have seemed, on the hardest days, like the promise was just a dream. But here is what those years were actually doing. Every season in that pit was teaching him how to manage systems in conditions he did not control. Every year in that prison was building in him the specific character that leading at the level he was being prepared for would require. The dormancy was not punishment, it was precision, preparation. And when Pharaoh called him, everything Joseph had developed in the waiting was exactly what the moment required. Not despite the hidden years. Because of them, you are inside that same pattern. The seasons of silence were not abandonment. The years that looked like nothing were formation. The calling that has felt dormant was never dead. It was being shaped into something that could survive what is ahead of it. And the same Father who prepared Joseph in the hidden years is the same one who has been preparing you in yours. But here is where I need to be honest with you. Because there is something standing between you and everything I just described, and it is not more time, and it is not more preparation, and it is not better circumstances. It is your attachment to the identity of someone who has not arrived yet. You have been the person in preparation for so long that the not yet has become comfortable. It feels safe. It even feels like humility. And stepping into the cold life means releasing the one who was always almost ready, and that release is terrifying in a way that is very hard to put into words. The brain reads change as danger, even good change, even chosen change. and so it will find reasons to wait. It will dress fear up as wisdom. It will dress procrastination up as discernment. It will make the comfortable, familiar feel like patience. Here is how you tell the difference. Genuine patience produces peace. True waiting has a quality of settledness in it, even in the tension. But the false waiting, the kind that is actually fear wearing a spiritual costume, produces the exact restlessness you have been feeling, the weight in your chest, the sense of running late on a timeline that belongs to you, the nagging awareness that something is moving without you. That is not patience, that is a signal, and the signal is saying, the time is now. I want to slow down here. Because everything we have covered, the sleeping, the decline effect, the dormant frequency, the formation in the hidden years, the identities waiting to emerge, all of it has been pointing toward one truth, one message, the specific, irreversible thing that God has been trying to tell you. It is not instructions, it is not a command, it is not even a promise about what is coming. It is an identity declaration. What God has been saying, in the restlessness, in the signals, in every season of formation you have walked through, is this: you are the one. You have always been the one. The sleeping was preparation, not punishment. The waiting was not rejection. Every year in the dormant season was adding to you, not subtracting from you. And the assignment that was placed in you before you could even choose it is still there, still whole, still waiting. You did not miss it. You were not too slow. You were not disqualified by the years of almost. But now, right now, the season is asking for your response. Not the response of a perfect, fully prepared, fear-free version of you. The response of the specific person who is in this moment, with every wound and delay and disappointment still fresh, who chooses to stop sleeping. That is the one God is calling. That is who this message was sent for. Let me say this directly to you now. You are a light bearer. And what you carry belongs to people who are waiting in darkness that you are specifically designed to walk into. You are a seer, and the perception you have been doubting is not overthinking. It is the guidance system God built into you for a reason. You are a voice. There are people who will only hear what they need to hear when it comes through you, through your specific story, your specific frequency, the things only you have lived through and come out of the other side of. You are a spiritual warrior. Everything you survived without breaking down was building the kind of strength that cannot be manufactured, only forged. You are a pioneer, and the path you are being called to walk first will make it possible for others to follow. You are not becoming this. You are receiving what was always already yours. And now, one last thing, before we seal what has just shifted in you. Before you can fully rise, something has to be set down, not discarded. Set down, with intention, with release. The old story that says, you are still getting ready. Set it down. The belief that you are behind on a timeline that belongs to someone else. Let it go. The fear that has been dressing itself as wisdom, telling you to wait for better conditions, release it. The comparison to people whose season is different from yours, whose calling is a different shape than yours, whose preparation took a different form, release all of it. Because what you have been waiting for is not more time. It is not more preparation. It is not a sign that will finally feel official enough to move on. What you have been waiting for is this moment. The window is open, and we are going to seal what has shifted right now. Let us take a moment together. Wherever you are, whatever your day has been, whatever weight you walked in here carrying, I want you to simply be still inside. Just for this moment, let these words land. Father, we come to this moment with gratitude, not only for the easy seasons, for all of them, for the silence that felt like abandonment, but was actually formation, for the delays that felt like rejection but were precision preparation, for every year in the hidden place that was building something we could not see and could not measure from the inside. Thank you for staying present in every one of those moments, for not withdrawing when the waiting stretched long and the promise felt distant, for the restlessness that was not anxiety. It was a signal, Thank you for the signal. You see, every weight that has been carried in silence, every question that was held in the dark without an answer, every prayer that felt like it dissolved before it reached the ceiling, every faithful step taken in a season that gave nothing visible back. You see all of it, and you call it preparation. Now we release. We release the old story, the one that says not yet, not ready, not enough. We release the false ceiling, the one that was inherited, not assigned. We release the wound of comparison, the lie that someone else's timeline defines ours. We release the identity of waiting. We set it down, with respect for what it protected us from, and with the decision that we no longer need that protection. We release the fear dressed as discernment. We release the procrastination dressed as patience. We release every version of almost that has kept us standing at the threshold instead of crossing it. It is released. Now we activate. We call forth the light bearer, the one who changes the atmosphere just by walking in. We call forth the seer, the one whose perception is not overthinking, it is assignment. We call forth the voice, specific, irreplaceable, carrying what no one else can carry. We call forth the spiritual warrior, the one who does not collapse, who holds ground even when the evidence says otherwise. And we call forth the pioneer, the one who goes first, who trusts what they sense before they see it. We activate the right connections, the relationships aligned with the season ahead. We call them into clarity and proximity. We open the doors that have been held closed by disbelief. We align provision with purpose. We call in what belongs to this season, and we release what belongs to the last one. And we cover this rising. Guard it from self-sabotage. Guard it from premature exposure. Guard it from the voice that will try to talk us back into the familiar. What has been awakened, let nothing pull it back into sleep. Now say this. You do not have to say it out loud. You do not have to say it where anyone can hear. Just say it where it counts, in the place in you that has been waiting to hear it from yourself. I am the one who was chosen. I am awake. I am no longer sleeping on what was given to me. I am not arriving. I am here, and I am ready. It is done. It is sealed. We receive it. Amen. Take a breath. And when you are ready, type the word awake in the comments right now. Not because you have it all figured out, not because you feel completely transformed, but as a declaration, a line in the sand, a moment you can look back on and say, that was when I stopped sleeping. If the message about the 7-Minute Genius song resonated with you, if something in you recognized what Dr. Lake discovered about the dormant gamma frequency and felt drawn toward it, the link is waiting for you in the description and in the pinned comment below. It is only available through that link. Not on Amazon, not on any other platform, just there, for anyone who feels it is their next step. And if there is someone in your life, someone you love, someone you have been watching carry a calling they have not yet stepped into, share this message with them, not to pressure them, just to plant a seed at the right time. This was not a casual message, and the fact that you stayed through all of it tells me something about you. It tells me the sleeping is already ending. Go well, chosen one. Go well.